Can you hear me there? Can you hear me? Yes? Yeah, all right, good. Oh, all right. Anyone new here? So we can sort of just set the parameters of the talk, which is just using the pure definition of non-duality, which is not. Non means not. I am new. Dan to everyone. Oh, all right, Dan. Well, so you may have heard the idea of non-duality, but let's just break it down to non is not, and duality is two-ness, yeah? And so basically, it's not saying let's concentrate on the one. It's a negation of the two, so to speak. I don't like the one, but we'll use an example. So in a sense, the negation is more than the affirmation, because what you could affirm, you already are. What you're going to negate, you're not. Yeah. So there's no need to affirm what you already are, but there may be a need to negate what you're not. Sorry for the dog, but some people are visiting Amelia, and the dog is a little bit too much. So I could be selling Tupperware. That's basically how they see it. It's not. But so here, so that the idea of negation plays a role, because again, the assumption of non-duality is that which could be affirmed already is. Yeah. So there's no need to affirm it because it already is. But what needs to be negated is what we're not. The activity that implies something that we sort of live an interpretation of. Yeah. Not sort of, we do in a lot of ways. And when you're in the act of being identified as something, you're probably the last one to know that you're in the act of being identified because it's working, so to speak. So if I'm taking Stanley to be me, and then Stanley's manifestations come through me, it's going to be an easy leap to calling them my manifestations. So basically, the mental state is implying we're something. And it doesn't even suggest that you're gonna be, or you may be, or you may become. It says you already are. It's a were. So there's really a moot point in the mental processes. It's saying you are a self. It's not like up for debate or maybe a cause for questioning. It basically assumes that you're the doer when doing is noticed, that you're the thinker when thinking is noticed, that you're the feeler when feelings are noticed. Yes. So this is what they talk about duality. So the seeing would be a verb, the seer would be a noun. Yeah. It's pictured as a noun, a thing. So that would be not two. So there's not, it doesn't mean there isn't seeing, there isn't the seer. Yes. If you look at the essential quality of it, could there be a seer without seeing? No. Could there be seeing without a seer? Yes. So there you go. So if you want to be put into a correct proportion, just hear that. Yeah. So again, affirming what we are as what we're not, I don't believe goes anywhere. And I think that's one of the mistakes of sharing the message of non-duality. We try to describe the indescribable to the describable. We might as well just describe the describable to the indescribable. Yeah? You are reality. It's there. You are. Being ourselves reality. If you think Ramana had it going on, then listen to some of what he says. Being ourselves reality. So basically, what being ourselves reality, what would chanting I'm reality do? Would it reinforce the affirmation of being ourselves reality, or would it reinforce what we're not? Yeah, that which doesn't believe it's reality, chanting that it is reality. Which one would it do? Which one would it support? Yeah, it's important to be clear, because if you're not, you may be believing you're going somewhere and you're just not. Yeah. That's the dilemma. So you can't get out of what you're not in. Yeah. And if you attempt to constantly get out of it, you believe you're in. Yeah. And in that believing you're in, you become that which is in and therefore wants to get out. And that's duality. It's not true. So what needs to be negated is what we're not. And then the affirmation will be affirming. Yeah. You'll sense a presence or whatever you want to call it. You'll be here, basically, where you've always been, but you'll be here and you'll sense what's here. Yeah. And you'll start recognizing the mental state's activity, which is selfing. It's just it's anytime you jump into the mental state or attention goes there, it's not you jumping in, but this is the language. When attention goes there, it's always caught in the act of being identified as self. That's what it is. Yeah, that's its main agenda, is not to notice the seeing, but to notice the seeing and claiming it to imply the seer. So there's a shift from life's happening to life's happening to me. Yeah. One's an interpretation, one is an event. Yeah. As Lord Buddha said, supposedly, events happen, deeds are done, but there's no individual doer thereof. In the interpretation of events happening, deeds are done, there is an individual doer thereof. Yeah. It's just that simple. So is there an individual doer? No, but it's suggested and implied by the claiming of events and deeds. So that's the message in a way. Just keep bringing, if you keep getting brought back to where you never left, it's going to dawn on you sooner or later that you never left. And then at least 2 of the 3 of the gons will drop off. Gone, gone, gone to the other shore. Upon arriving on having never left, at least a few of the gons will go. Yeah. And maybe you'll go to the other shore, maybe you won't. It doesn't matter. Maybe the sun may be better in the other shore. But when you arrive, wherever you arrive, based on having never left, did you actually arrive? If when you arrive, and then there's a realization on having never left, did you arrive? No. It looked like you did. It looked like you were in one shore, and then you took a journey to get to the other shore, and it could add a lot of time and years and effort and toil. But basically, at the final arriving at the goal, it tells you on having never left. So that which you're looking for will negate the looking for it. I mean, seriously, why not hear it now? Yeah. Sometimes it's expensive to go to the other shore. And then there's other shores to go to. Yeah. And you can get caught up in an addiction to visiting other shores. And then when you have an investment in other shores, you're going to resist that message on having never left because you like arriving. Yeah. Yeah. The selfing loves, if you set it on a course in becoming the truth, it will sign up, man, for hundreds of years. If you set it on no course, you are the truth, fucking, it has no interest in that. All right, you're going to set off on a course. Could take lifetimes. A lot of purification, hardships, sacrifice. Yeah. I'll sign up. Yeah. Hey, you are what you're looking for. Oh, fuck that. No way. Yeah. Well, that's the message. You are what you're looking for right now. You don't need to, you're on the other shore. You don't have to leave for another one. The mythical other shore is right wherever you are is the other shore. Yeah. And it's going to inform you on having never left. It is. Yeah. I had this. We shared this at this meeting. it's still fresh. So I told you I was involved in this 8-day uh, like a therapeutic retreat in 2000 in Australia, maybe 99, 2000, somewhere. And they were very good at promoting and manufacturing cathartic events. They just knew how to do it. Yeah. They had music, they had the whole thing. And you'd go into these epiphanies and all this stuff. People would be crying, wailing, laughing, running around, pulling their hair out, everything, all those signs of a great spiritual awakening. And then, so I had this thing, I was just chanting like, I can never get back. I can never get back. And I was feeling like the pangs of separation from the Godhead. Who would have ever left the Godhead? All this and all that. And it was greeted with great emphasis by the people who ran it. This is what they were really looking for. So I'm yelling, I'm having never left, I'm yelling, I can never get back, I can never get back. And then a few weeks later, I realized the only reason I could never get back is I never left. I wasn't seeing that part of it. I thought I had done something so terrible, I could never erase it. I could never get forgiven for that. But I had never left. That's why I can't get back. That's simple. Yeah. And it can put an end to stuff, really. Yeah. It can put an end to stuff. I mean, hey, it's nice to picture yourself like a heroic figure, yeah, who breaks through the mortal coil and looks really good while he's doing it, and reaps a lot of adoration and awe from others. I'm sorry. In a way, that's it. This is a bummer because the whole parade is canceled upon having never left. Yeah. It can't be like a welcome home party. It can't. You haven't been away in the spiritual wars and then you're treated as a great hero. No, it's not available. Yeah, you are what you're looking for right now, just as you are, because you're not. Yeah. So the negation is the key. I don't believe that much in affirmation. I don't want to hear all I am is consciousness because it sure doesn't feel like that during the day. Yeah. It feels like I got two knees that hurt and shit like that. So basically, I much rather hear a very clear description of what's describable, which is the mental process that implies you're a long-lasting, independent, separate thing. Yeah. If that gets questioned and then initiates a loss of interest in that, you'll find out everything else you've been looking for. You will. On a need-to-know basis. Maybe you're not going to find out much because it's not necessary. But basically, if your seed assignment like demands some knowledge, you'll probably have knowledge. Yeah. But if it doesn't, you probably won't. It would be a burden. Yeah. You can just be here. Yeah. So that's the message. Yeah. That's the message, is that negating the assumed noun and just a recognition that everything is verbing. And actually, the verbing of self is the act of being identified as self. It's not it. That's a verb. It implies a noun. We actually put us as a hand into that glove. The glove cannot become the hand, but we, as the audience, buy the story and we jump off. We forget that we're the screen and we jump into the movie. Yeah. And then once we jump into the movie, we seemingly forget that we're of the screen. Yeah. Yeah. All the while, you're not in the movie, completely clearly. But when you enter the little Alice in Wonderland rabbit hole, then you wake up and you're feeling like a long-lasting, independent, separate entity. That feeling, by the way, continues. It's just not you, but it continues. There's a sense of self that's produced all day. Yeah. But the hand is still a hand, be it in the glove or not. It doesn't matter if it's in a glove or not, it's a hand. Yeah. So that's sort of the feeling of the message. All the movements that imply you moving are just advertising, really. You never moved. Yeah. There's a lot of movement in everywhere, but everywhere doesn't go any somewhere. Yeah. It's everywhere. So, all right. Thanks. Anyone have anything?
There's a question in the chat.
Oh, yes? I don't see the chat, so give it to me.
Would you suggest mind watching as a practice or no practice? There's also, what about where you put your attention?
Well, stop thinking you put your attention anywhere and then see where the attention goes. First of all. And today I'm not into mind watching mind. Yeah. Yeah. But it's, I wouldn't say it's no practice, and I wouldn't say it's a practice. I just feel like you come to some certain conclusions and then there's a resting. Yeah. And then a lot of the signs and the indications and the pointing to move don't move you anymore. Yeah. Yeah. So I like the idea of in Dzogchen, from Tibetan Buddhism, relaxed awareness, or more like a panoramic view, not a focused myopic view. Yeah. Once you take the seeking out of looking, that's really seeing. That's the seeing. Yeah. It's when the looking is put to a task and is moving through time. It's a form of looking. The basic one is self-centeredness, but really it's seeing in disguise. It's awareness. So when the looking, when there's no seeing, no seeking, the looking is seen for what it is, seeing, or it's seen as what it is, seeing. Yes? Seeing meaning awareness, not. I think awareness moved in time is called a form of looking. Yeah. When the idea and that move of time is that it's going somewhere, or there's somewhere it has to, arrive at or something. When that's dismissed, when there's enough loss of interest in that, what's looking is what you're looking for, really. That's the seeing. As St. Francis says, what's looking is what you're looking for. When does what's looking really seem what you're looking for? When there's no looking. Yeah. And I feel non-duality can bring you to that point if you hear it. I believe the satsang of non-duality can bring you to no looking. Yeah. It doesn't feed the engine of seeking. It's not presenting itself as there's a whole lot more's coming. If you can get bigger, you'll get more. No, it's just like we always say, 2022, what's new in non-duality? Nothing. It's the same. It's the same message for years upon years. Yeah. Yeah. It's a negation of an assumption that has momentum and meaning here. Yeah. And that which is giving meaning isn't going to change the meaning it's given. The selfing is going to keep writing itself into all the stories. It just is. Yeah. This is a loss of interest in all that. And, I don't spend any time looking for myself ever. Yeah. So I feel the seeing of myself. Yeah. There's a sense of it. It permeates. There's no me feeling it. There's a sense of it. And I feel presence is just undirected interest and attention, really. Yeah. When it stops, that's presence. When it's being used to seek the presence, it's agitation, really. So, yeah. So no, I don't, but whatever you need at the moment, like if you really feel like you need to do something, you better do it because you're the dreaming of this dreaming. And so if you're setting up requirements, yeah, instead of trying to talk yourself out of requirements, maybe just fulfill them and get done with them. Yeah. So if I felt I needed to do something, I probably would, but I don't feel I need to do anything. So I don't. Yeah. I'm not trying to convince people who feel a need to do something not to do it. I'm not. I'm just using that activity, whatever it is, to see how the mental state deals with that activity. It claims it, and it uses the activity to imply the doer of the activity. Yeah, it's good to know because it's doing it mechanically. You're not choosing to do it on Monday at work and then not choosing to do it at the retreat. It's just mechanical. Yeah. Yeah. It's based on its own conditions. It's not based on circumstances and conditions. It's based on mental condition, which is its nature is to claim what it's brought into contact with. Yeah, that's what it does. And then it writes up a story. So it uses verbs to imply there's a noun. And then it presupposes those nouns to be before the verbs. And now all the verbs and everything else is claimed to reinforce the noun. Yeah. So you live a life of self-centeredness, which is an interpretation. Yeah. Obviously. Yeah. It doesn't matter where you're located, Tibet or China or Hoboken or Dover, New Jersey, Northern California. The activity is where you are. So if you're here, the mental activity is also kicking in and it's claiming to be the one who's here. That's all. Yeah. If you're planning on the big day of arrival based on it agreeing with you, you're wasting a lot of time. You are. Yeah. It's not gonna become a service animal or anything. It's just it wants to claim what you bring about. It meets life through us, and then it claims it and makes a story about it. Yeah, to fulfill its addiction, which is the addiction of being a doer, a thinker, a feeler, a long-lasting, independent, separate thing. Yeah. Now you can talk to your blue in your face and talk to it about a future union and merging, but it has no interest in that really. Yeah. It just wants to stand alone, be the star. Yeah. If you present you're going to become a knower of God, it's happy as hell because there'll be very rarely God and there'll be a lot of the knower of God in the process. It's same thing with meditation and shit. Before you sit on the pillow, it has you as the meditator, really. So all that you're doing that you hope was leading you somewhere, there's another competing agenda that has its own intention, which is not to lead you anywhere. It wants to reinforce the noun. No matter how virtuous or selfish the behavior is, it's going to use all of it to reinforce the noun. Yeah. So meditation gets claimed, implies the meditator. Yeah. Fucking shooting dope gets claimed, implies I'm a dope user. Yeah. It doesn't matter. It doesn't go, oh, I can't claim that if it's in a temple. No, it's claiming away. Yeah. I feel it's pretty important to be wise about it. Because if you're not, you'll be looking from it. You will. Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of situations that you would think would bring about clarity concerning this won't. They won't. Yeah. Because they've included you, the you that you're not in the package. The Buddhism has been fit around the noun. Instead of negating the noun and confronting the noun, it's fit itself around the noun. Yeah. So Paul is now going to become a great practitioner of Buddhism. Yeah. Far out, But there's a noun there, isn't it? So the mental state has co-opted a lot of beautiful paths and stuff and is using it to its own end. Yeah. Where it's doing it with non-duality also. But non-duality is a stubborn nothingness, you know. It's just basically, you know, you're gonna get nothing, you're gonna get nothing, you're gonna get nothing. Yeah, you're not gonna experience it, you're not gonna understand it, you're not gonna get it, it's not gonna become yours. It's just beautiful, really, because it brings into stark contrast the misunderstandings that some other methodologies don't bring into stark contrast. They don't. Yeah. They believe you can do yourself out of something. Yeah. Or do yourself into something. Where the non-duality is completely emphasizing the doer of either thing. In or out, doesn't matter. It's the sense of being the doer. Yeah. It's negating that. It doesn't even get to the two-ness. It negates that which is entertaining the two-ness. Yeah. Us, the idea of you. Yeah. Beautifully also. Doesn't budge over the years. There's no advanced non-duality. Yeah. No belts are offered. A black belt in non-duality. None of that. Yeah. It's a simple invitation. Not to look for what you are, but to see what you're not. Yeah. Please. Yeah. And then you'll enjoy looking for what you are. Because you have already found it. Does it preclude that you'll never look for it? Maybe you will, but at least you'll travel lighter through it. Yeah, you won't be, holding your breath to arrive from that which you never left. Sorry, someone just tried to call me. Yeah, there's all these other teachers call me when I'm on these Zooms. Mooji, Adyshanti, try to throw me off my game. But hey, I don't have a game, so call away. It's your telephone bill. I see it. It says scam likely, but I know who that is. That's Adyshanti. I hit the button. I'm joking. I don't have nothing, I'm neutral concerning everyone else, basically. I have whatever. Yeah. I like to joke though. She says, people get in touch with me. They wait for years and they finally visit me. Are you bad mouthing these people? I said, man, bro, if you don't catch the joke in its early stages, it's sort of stale. You can't really explain it, can you? No, it's just once you start explaining it, it's gone. So no, I have no ill feelings. I just joke around. It's like when we were younger, I used to go to Staten Island, very tough area. And I used to say, it's like Eckhart Tolle meeting the Sopranos. Yes. So people would get mad at me there. Or then I used to think, with the guys I know from Staten Island, we could kick ass on the Adyshanti army. We'll fucking kill them. So what? It's joking, Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So anyone else? Zoe, nice to see you there, Zoe. Yeah, Zoe, I'm going to be home, I hope. So when you come. Yeah.
Awesome. So excited. Yeah. Kelly's looking forward to it too.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Or just call me when you get there. You have my number?
Yes, Mike gave it to us.
Just give me
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You'll appear as scam likely also. Anyone else today? You get the drift, right? Inca, you get the drift. I know she does.
Well, she has a new computer and doesn't know what the hell to do with it.
Oh,
Is
but
what
I'm
the
telling
issue.
you, get the drift. You get the drift of the message, yes?
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's
I
the whole.
don't know. I mean, I am always absolutely blown away how well you articulate the non-duality. And when I'm with you, I get it 100%. And if somebody asks me tomorrow morning to explain it, I can't do it. I mean, I shouldn't say that. Maybe I should try it, but you know what I'm saying.
Yes, I do.
And it is, I mean, it's a fabulous message. It's a way of being that I can only dream of reaching. And then the minute I say reaching, I'm wrong. I mean, I'm negating what, because there is no reaching, right? There is no. Yeah. So.
But don't be hard on what you're not either. It's meant to fail. That's the good. Yeah. It's truly meant to fail. It's not because it's not that it can't be rehabbed. It just can't be rehabbed. So yeah, it has its role and it does it well.
Yeah.
So,
selfing is just an incredibly satisfying thing to do.
Great. Well, yes, it's nice to be, because I mean, we've been driven by a lot of forms of a lot of things. Yeah. So being driven when you may have liked better just like chewing some cud, you're being constantly driven like a cow. You never get to enjoy the trough for any period, constantly whipping and whipping. I mean, geez, the real relief is from you're relieved of the need to be liberated. Really, you're just like,
well, yeah.
I feel,
and all that brings with it. I mean,
because you don't understand how much movement and pushed and how many things are so influential. We can never really rest. Like it says in the Bible, the Son of Man has no place to rest its head. It's true in a way. If you're the Son of Man, not God, which is time and space, we're constantly being whipped to get to a bigger, better moment or whatever. Yes, or this is okay, but it could be much better, on and on. And in a way, it's a form of slavery in a sense. You just constantly can't stop unless you pay a lot of money or somehow convince yourself, okay, this is part of the going, but it's called a stop. But it's really it's part still. I'm still going to the goal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you can't find an excuse for doing nothing. You're just doing nothing. Yeah. Your head's gonna have to fucking bite the bullet because it's like what? I'm not accruing value. I'm not accruing value. Therefore, I'm losing value. It's insane. Yeah. You're like, don't you? That's the real relief is when you stop. Then you can enjoy peace of mind. You can't enjoy peace of mind on a run. It's like eating fast food. Do you really enjoy food when it's fast food and you're on the run and you're eating in the car? No. So can you enjoy the peace of mind through agitation and constant activity? I don't feel you can. I don't think so. Yeah? Like it says in an old Zen saying, you can't use activity to produce stillness. That would be activity. So what is the mental condition? It's a bunch of activity. It's the verb of all verbs, really. But it doesn't want to see that. It wants to see itself as a noun. Yeah. So when when the truth is told, there's a huge amount of relief. Yeah, it's like the guy when Ramana talked about the guy who had that huge basket on his head and he had a long way to go. And then a guy comes up to him and says, bro, there's a train that's going exactly where you're going at the station. It leaves in 10 minutes. So the guy walks that arduous walk only for 8 minutes, gets on the train. He's sitting there and he still has the thing on his head while the train's going. And the guy has to reaffirm it. The guy who told him about the train, he walks by and says, you can put the bag, the bag down. Yeah. This is like the message of satsang. You point something out and you keep showing up to reaffirm it. You don't have to make it a bag. You don't have to put it on the head. It's not like that. You're on the train. Yeah. It doesn't need your assistance to get the bag to the destination. It's on the way. Yeah. So this is not just, you can't just tell the person, hey, there's a train. You got to follow them to see it, because the habit is strong. They turn the train into a new fucking trip, a new adventure. This train will lead to another. No, it doesn't. It doesn't lead to another train and a better train. It's just an example of putting the weight down. Yeah. And feeling. Yeah. That the hope that the destination was going to give you the relief, because you would finally, when you reach the destination, you would put the bag down. Well, this is like before any destination, you can put the bag down because you're on a freaking train. Yeah. It's doing the lifting. You're not doing the lifting. You're not the cause of freaking everything. You're not the doer. You're not. Yeah. All the guilt and shame that took root and has been growing fucking acid fruit all these years is based on a simple idea that you're a doer. You're a doer of everything that's ever been noted to be done through you. You are the one. It was free will. You could have done something else. Yeah, this is the game of the mental state. It screws you every which way. Yeah. Every which way. It's not only that it calls you the doer, it gives you, well, you really fucked up. You did the wrong thing and you should have done the other thing. And yes, and it's like Starbucks took like a coffee bean and made 60 drinks out of it. Yeah, it's sort of like the head does that. It takes one act of doing and then it makes 60 fucking stories of the doer. And you're drinking it all day. You're not going to do yourself out of the doer, as the doer. You're not. I can say that with, I don't care what anyone said. That's the truth with me. I just do not see the doer, because there isn't one, doing itself out of the doer. It's just, it's doing itself more in the doer, really, into the doer. My
Paul,
feeling.
we've got 3 questions, so I want to be able to have time to get to them. We've got David first.
Yes. Thank you, honey. Yeah, you got to watch me. I just take off, go down. Yeah. Pulling that leash, baby. Yes. Don't let that fish run. All right.
Hi, Paul. How's it going?
David B.
David
It's going.
B.
It's going. It's dark here. It looks like it may rain again.
It's doing the same here. No, I was just chiming in. It's funny, you were talking about the self and putting the hat down, and you said, it doesn't need its assistance. I'm sure the selfing loves that, to hear that it's totally irrelevant. It's interesting when you talk about the self as a noun. It's almost like this pseudo object, right? But when you look for it, there's nothing there. I mean, there's not a thing. There's not a noun. There's not a self. And you mentioned before, and I guess I was just chiming in, I raised my hand a little bit earlier because of something you said, but there's that sense of like, you said people will come to me and you say, I've been selfing all day and that's annoying me. And you say, well, the real selfing is the you who's getting the you who you think is annoyed, right?
Yeah.
That's the
real
actual.
selfing. Yes.
But and yet you said this, the no matter what, that sense of being a thing, almost like a pseudo object, continues to arise. I mean, it's almost in the.
Well, it's produced all day.
Right.
It's not done out of choice or volition. It's mechanical.
Sure, it's part of its mechanical nature, almost. Right? I mean, the bodies, not even yours, whatever the self-organizing dynamic or something like that. But It's interesting. No, I appreciate it. It's just funny because that whole idea of even being bothered by it is like the Chinese finger trap. That's the real selfing, that double
Of
level.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then what happens is what's emphasized is the bother, and
The
you
one
as the
who's bothered.
dominant influence. So you miss the dominant influence and you get set off on a wild goose chase over and over again. Really.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
wild. Yeah.
Really. I mean, geez. It's
That's funny.
amazing how much can be pronounced and emphasized by a feeling of being bothered that's going to disappear probably in 5 minutes. But
Mhm.
now you're on a blog and you've engaged with all your followers, so you got to talk about bothered for 5-6 hours. Yeah,
Mhm.
yes, because now there's an investment in being the one who is bothered.
Mhm. Having
The
some
head
people.
has a huge investment in the story, huge investment.
Mm.
Yeah, and its greatest thing is because you feel like you're the author of it, you really don't want to read it to the end. You don't really, you just want to fucking deny it and live out the chapters, really.
Mm.
Yes, because like the whole idea of guilt in the Course and Miracles is based on this premise that we separated from the Godhead. Yes, that's like
Mhm.
that's El Grande Dua. That's
Sure.
like fucking unbelievable. But see, it's not so funny because that same feeling is with every act of doing.
Mm.
Yeah. Now that's a big example, but basically there's thousands of little pieces of guilt all day.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because
I,
there isn't a clear objective viewing of the doing. It's an interpretation that there's a doer that could have not done it. Yes, and a whole fucking story gets set off, and it's like it drives it sort of attracts interest, and then the interest drives more of the story. Don't you feel?
Yeah.
So
It's I had a
there's
when I
got
was
to
young.
be a loss of interest, and that which is telling the story is not going to lose interest in the story. So
Mhm.
you've got to lose interest in that which is telling the story. Yeah.
Mhm.
Can't lose interest in the story as the storyteller. It's just another story. Yeah.
Mhm.
But there's a loss of interest in the idea of the noun, and then things are seen in their true nature, which is coming and going. They're verbing, and they look a whole lot different than a stationary, long-lasting, independent, separate thing. They
Mhm.
do. Yeah. I mean, completely. You can travel a lot lighter, yeah, in a river that's a verb than a river chunk full of nouns. You're gonna run into a lot of shit. Yeah. So
Interesting. Cool.
yeah.
Yeah, when I was younger, I had a teacher, my first teacher when I was pretty young, like 17 or 18, and he supposedly came from a background or tradition of Advaita, and you would know who his teacher was, but he kind of somewhere along the line, it got really skewered. And you talk about like guilt and, he had this idea of the oneness, and he'd say, well, if you look at the condition of the world and you're the one, well, you got a lot of explaining to do because it's a big fucking mess. And it just took that whole that almost that guilt and projected it onto a megalomaniacal scale in a way, because it was it was a
But the point is, it's always non-duality is seamless in its simplicity. It's just based on a presumption being ourselves reality. Yeah. It questions all that which fuels this dreaming, which is time and space. Yeah. And just to see, are you a product of time or are you a product of, let's say, call it timelessness? Yeah. And just get sort of certain things cleared up and everything else becomes clear from there. Yeah. It's not like an 8,000 events of clarity, there's a certain clarity, and then blue becomes blue and red is red. There's a clarity that begets itself. Yeah. You don't have to be constantly upping clarity. It's just, it happens in and of itself. And you're the observing of it and the expression of it. And yeah. Yeah. Now the action figure is on a huge time delay, so it doesn't usually get the good news when it's being delivered, but it does get the good news sooner or later. And the most important thing, it can't write itself into the story. It's beyond its capability, which is saying something. Its little mental arm can't reach that far back and claim what's happening through you anymore. Yeah, it's clear. And that's a very, very beautiful point. Yeah. So
that unfolding on time is just beautiful art. I mean, it's art.
Yes. And its finite reach is shown. Yeah. It can't reach before the infinite. It's a finite reach. There is a point where you're convinced of certain things that it can't unconvince you of anymore. Yeah.
And then the disarming, and then the disarming you've spoken of, the search, setting down
very disarming, very disarming. And then things like regroup. Let's say it's the same pieces, but it will look like a completely different puzzle when they move to their different places. It's the same amount of pieces. It's taking up the same amount of space, but you'll see something completely different in it. Yeah.
Music played through it. Yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully a lot of shit will stop. Yeah. Seriously. That's my hope for yeah.
Well, it won't be the instantaneous decimating of all character defects, but
It can be, but that's probably happen when you die and you won't be there to experience it. So
right.
yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see how anything can stand for long. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all gonna
Dust. Churn.
Every wave, even 100-foot wave breaks, every wave crashes. So
always upon never having never left. Right?
So because we're that ocean appearing as a wave. We're not a wave trying to experience the ocean. Yeah. So you see that you're not a wave, and therefore it doesn't take any time to be the ocean because you've never not been the ocean. Yeah. And let's say the wave becomes really important again, but there's somewhere in there that there's a knowing that you're the ocean. Yeah. And that will withstand a lot of the waving and all the identification as the wave. It will. Yeah. The wave will have to decrease, have to crest, have to get drawn out, and there it is. The truth is always there to be revealed. There's a lot of holes in appearances. Yeah. Yeah, they are. You have to keep projecting it because it doesn't stand on its own. So there's pauses in between, and there's a seeing. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and then it's an assuredness that doesn't come from how people try to get assured here, Like I was thinking about the idea of success. It's thrown around so loosely that if someone drives by in a new Tesla, my head would think, oh, that person's successful. Why? Because they may have stolen the Tesla, who knows? But you know what I mean? The mental idea of success is such a fucking... really weird idea. It has nothing to do with any living. It has to do with the bling, so to speak.
The social conditioning.
So whatever. And so you see the smallness of the head will reveal itself quite a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And there won't be any drive to deny it because it's not you. You'll see it. You'll see the emperor with no clothes for sure. A lot. Yeah. And I'm telling you, it's not a pretty picture.
but if it's not you, then it's simply the truth of what you're not.
I know, that's right.
Yeah.
And, pretty or not pretty, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just come around. Hopefully this is whatever.
Helpful.
Hopefully providing a traveling lighter. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time. Yeah.
Hi, Paul. Susan has a
Yeah.
question.
Who?
Susan or Suzanne? I could be saying that wrong.
Yes. All right. Suzanne is don't get up, Suzanne. Just stay horizontal.
Yeah. I wanted to be with the lights off, but I didn't want to be rude. So anyway, the question I have is I resonate and I believe, at least as much as I think I can, you know, everything that you're saying, and I really have benefited from your talks or satsangs, but I have a really hard time, even though I believe it and I resonates very true, that I'm so caught in it that, like, I wake up in the morning and I'm just, you know, definitely selfing, but and I know that I am, and I say to myself, you know, this is not you, this is, you know, conditioned behavior and conditioned thinking, but it's so real. It feels so real, even though intellectually I can say I know it's not true, but it feels real. And so I just,
Honey, can
you
I
know, try
jump
to
in a second?
exercise and distract.
Susan,
Yes.
can I jump in for a second? If that's the case, if it feels so real, then you've got to do something, some service or something to distract your attention from it. Yeah. Just do something. Do something not for you
Okay.
maybe specifically. Dedicate some of your time. You know, just do something. Don't stay alone with it because it's having its way with you, supposedly. That's from your share. So I would leave one level and give you a suggestion from another level, which is to distract that attention and interest, yeah, by service or some other form, and then get back to it and you'll see things have changed, yeah? Yeah. So once you start getting a taste of what it's like not to be seemingly under it, it will make the seemingly under parts less frequent, and their length will shrivel up. Yeah? Yeah. You don't want to try to use non-duality to get out of duality. You just want to see there is no duality. But if you're seeing duality and you seem to be up the ass of that, you need a divine proctologist. You can't just read a non-duality book. Yeah. So you need to be pulled out of that ass and get a nice couple of fresh breaths. And that, to me, the truest and the most reliable form of action would be of service. Yes. And this is coming from a community that deals with the most extreme obsession with self, which is addiction and that. And one of the great foundations of recovery is service. Yeah, to take an action, dedicate some time to something other than your mental pursuit. Yeah. Yeah.
And the other question I had was, I've also listened to the 12-step talks that you give, even though I'm not alcoholic, but I know people that are, and I've been in group meetings with them. And so I really like those talks. And the question I have is, in the part when you talk about recognizing we're helpless and giving power, or, you know, realizing that we have a higher power that will guide us. How would you combine, like, this, what you're saying today, with when you said something like the manager's no good or something like that, like it's not manageable. So then I would, when I try to transfer that over, if I don't have an alcohol issue, just the self itself is unmanageable. The selfing, is that what you would say?
Yes. Yes.
Just any belief in the self is going to be unmanageable ultimately. Like the Starbucks, I mean, it's going to shoot you down. in some form or another, with all the different, when you
I
said,
don't know if
when
it
you
is or
gave that
it isn't.
example of the Starbucks.
I don't know if it is or it isn't, but it seems to have. So it has done that. Yes, in this
Yeah.
case. So yeah, the thing is a loss of interest in it. Without knowing it, sometimes we set out to lose interest in self, but as self, we're identified as another aspect of it, trying to get out of a known aspect of it. See, again, I would recommend, if you're really up the ass of self, is to get a proctologist, do something, service, or I recommend Bloodline on Netflix. Will get you engaged for 2 seasons. Very good writing, good story, great acting. Seriously, I'm serious. Because a lot of shit changes without your attention on it. Yeah. You want to send that attention and interest, which is being directed by the mental state, around the corner for a while so that something else can occur. Seriously. At that point.
And would that,
Hmm? Yep.
I was gonna say, with that also, 'cause the other issue is, there's a part when you said about the, turning it over to the higher power, there's almost a part that is afraid even though not consciously afraid, but I think subconsciously afraid to really let go of everything, like let go of, in terms of, okay, if I completely don't listen to the self, then what? Like I don't know, there is a part
Yes.
that's
Well,
afraid.
first of all, but see, the head is speaking about a place it's not even around. So basically, what the idea of the higher power is truly an aspect of what we are. We're just giving it a name to see a difference between it and selfing. Yeah. And so the idea of turning your will in life, you're not doing that. You're making a decision to do that. Yeah. Because you don't have the power to do that. So you make the decision to do it. And in recovery, we set off on a course of action, this working steps. But in your case, admit that you can't surrender everything. Yeah. That's the real surrender. You give up the idea that somehow you're going to be brought to a condition of complete surrender. That which you're not isn't going to be. It's basically there's, let's call it an innermost. There's an aspect that's maybe unsuspected in all of us that gets the message that you're fucked, and then something really can happen. Yeah, not the head, but somewhere in what we are. Yeah, and so that comes from, I have no ability to surrender. I was brought into a state of surrender, and from there I learned I could stay in surrendered, yes, but I had no fucking idea what surrender was until it was put upon me and I was stopped. And I had a reckoning, and I was convinced that I'm screwed and I'm not managerial quality, really. I mean, I was thoroughly convinced of that, and it's never changed over 30 something years. So that's a given in my life now. So mental state cannot surrender. It works on a transactional level. Yeah, it's not looking at surrender. And so basically, what's surrendered. The sense of self is surrendered. It's not what surrenders. Yeah. By seeing it as other than you, there's a surrender of it. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
But I like to see you. We all do this and it's just the way it goes. The head tries to use duality as an for the head. It didn't work well. So just go to the skillful means that you've learned, yeah, to get some immediate relief, because the head trying to apply non-duality doesn't work, I don't feel. Yeah. It's sort of like a drug addict. when I went into spirituality, I looked at spirituality like a drug, basically. I was going to get high. I was going to do this, do that. Yeah. It's sort of like they say, you know, a hammer sees everything as a nail. Well, let's say the head sees everything and includes itself in it. Yeah. So, yeah. So to do something or distract something, or, you know, there's a lot of ways to, because the head's in deep grooves. Yeah. Like in Hinduism, they have something called samskaras, right? Which are deep mental grooves. So let's say addiction is a deep mental groove for some of us. And so that plays out in this drama, and it's fucking incredible. And it looks like it's never going to end. And then one day, the urge to drink and use is gone. Yeah. And you're still alive, and that mental groove ran out. Yeah. Yeah. It had its run. You survived it, and now it's over. Yeah. Well, at certain points, you're outmatched by the mental grooves. You've got to distract it or do something to take the attention off of it. Yeah. Yeah. Get with
Okay.
other people. Yes. Yes. Because it loves to have you alone working on non-duality with you. Oh, yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. Thank you. Thanks for being honest and everything. Yeah.
And Paul, Eileen has a question.
Oh, Eileen. Where is Eileen? Oh, there she is. Hello, Eileen. I can't hear you. No, here. I
don't
can't
know
hear.
how to make you hear me.
All right, now we can. Now we can.
Can you?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm like really great, not good at this like digital shit. So, you're hearing me and seeing me. Well, you don't have to see me. Okay.
No.
Hi. A couple of things, and I'm aware of time. So, should I still talk, or we don't have to? If it's like,
Well, do talk about one thing, I guess, and see if it leads to another.
I have two things, but they're both pretty quick.
All right.
Okay, so from where I am, there's a couple of things that I've noticed recently. I wanted to just run these by you for whatever you feel, get.
Yeah.
I noticed that what happens almost all the time is the action figure, she does whatever she's doing, and there's like a time delay, and there's like the mental process. It's sort of like this time delay, Howard Cosell, like it's sort of doing this commentary, giving an opinion, telling me something's good, but it doesn't have any, it's like, I don't believe it because it's bullshit. It doesn't mean anything to me, but it's there just given its commentary.
Yes.
Yeah. And then when I'm around other people, Paul, or parent other people, it's the same thing. Like their loops are running and there's nothing to do here, but know that that's their loops run. Like do you get what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what to do.
It's not their loops, but there's loops. Yes.
Correct. Yeah. It's like, I just sit there, I just like nod and, okay. The other thing, it's not disturbing at all. It's just kind of sometimes boring in a way.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing that is going on is, I talked about this with one of my friends that he's also had this, but it's like, okay, if I'm driving in the car and you know how when you're driving, it looks like you're going that way, like whatever. Well, what's been happening, like it's something moved and it didn't go back to that other way. So now what it looks like is that it's like I'm in a video game. So the scenery, all the things are coming this way. Do you get what I'm saying? Do you get
Yes,
it?
I do.
Okay, so that was happening when I was driving, and okay, so I'm like, this is kind of weird, but that's what it was. But now it's happening when I'm just walking, when I'm just like, it just it's just the way things are being perceived, it appears.
Yeah.
Is there any, okay, is that
No,
like,
that happens. That happens. That's happened. I've had those. So, yeah.
it doesn't mean anything, right? It's just like
Well,
what,
you'll
like,
give it, there'll be meaning given to it, but yeah,
yes,
so actually, it can mean a lot or it may not mean anything, But it's interesting because most people believe there's a real place they're moving into, and it's upsetting in a way when it seems to be moving through you. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So, but that's nice, I feel. I mean, there's a lot of message in there. If you don't need to get it, something's getting it. Yeah.
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 Yeah, it doesn't really even matter, but I know when I was on the highway, I remember thinking, this is a little weird. Like, I guess I can still drive. Driving is happening.
Yeah. You drive.
And then I started going faster to see if it would like go the other way. Like I was trying to go to make I can't explain it, but it wouldn't. Everything just kept coming faster. So I just was like, that's what it does now.
So Eileen, be careful when the head tells you it's going to change if I go 120 miles per hour. Don't go with that. Don't go with that message.
Yeah, yeah, I did, but it was.
It probably comes and goes, honey. Those perceptual shifts, they come and go. It can
Okay.
go back, and then it's just showing you the falsity of things. Yeah. Yeah.
Or like the impermanence. So it feels like they're really dream matter. Like
Yeah.
they're not made of like physicality, but they don't go through me. They just go past the windows of the car.
Yeah. Well, they go through you too, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
so crazy. Okay.
Yeah, it's the thing is, see, like the Course in Miracles, some people here are interested in that. A lot of that is about altering perception, yeah, so that you can get something. See, because obviously, we believe there's a belief that we're perceiving a real thing, and a real thing could only be perceived this way, yeah. But obviously, it can be perceived a lot of ways because it's not real. Yeah. So you get these examples, and to me, it would sort of galvanize a sense I had and give it a lot more force in the life. Yeah. Because the dreaming is a very good description, I feel, of what it's like to live here in time and space and in this appearance as an action figure. I think dreaming is a perfect way of describing it. Perfect, really. And because we also have the sample of dreaming that seemed to have ended, so we call it a dream, the dream at night, yeah? The real difference is that this one doesn't seem to end, so we think this is real, but it's just dreaming.
Mm-hmm.
The other was dreaming also, but then there was a waking up from it, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say the awake dream took over, so now we saw the dreaming at night as a dream,
Mm-hmm.
and it looks totally different, but we're in the same activity now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We call this, real, but it's the same as if you never woke up from the dreaming, that would be reality. Yes. You would be, yes.
And when you go to sleep at night, this dream ends and the nighttime dream appears to happen.
Well, yeah, because it's all based on us, not based on the dream.
Yeah.
We're the reality. Yes. Yeah.
And so one last thing, I'm feeling time. I don't do time good, so I'm worried about it, but not that much. what do you mean by, like, when you use the term seat assignment? I don't really understand what
Like
you're.
what you're doing right now, doing, where you are, where you're located, what kind of job, situations, yeah, relationships, animals, cats, dogs. It's a
Oh,
seat assignment. I have a role to play.
oh,
I like
okay.
to call it a seat assignment. An old friend of mine said it once years ago, and I sort of co-opted it, because I like the way it gave a sense of we're all going in the same direction, but we have different seat assignments. Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately, in the dreaming of airplanes, I'm usually near the bathroom at like 76 or in the high 60s. Yeah. So, but yeah, the seat assignment is like what I'm doing here. Yeah. This is a seat assignment. I didn't set out to speak of this shit. Yeah. I got sober. I saw I had an effect on people. I could understand shit that people had a hard time articulating. I couldn't tie my shoes. I couldn't have, write a checking account, but I could do this stuff. So I made it available to my community. That led me to being introduced to other communities through the website. And then voila, getting asked to go places and speak. And then all of that was the seat assignment. It's just all played out. Yeah. Now, a
Okay.
seat assignment is just that. It's more like a musical chairs. I'm in a seat, but the music starts and I get up. And no matter how many times the music stops at that same seat, it's still not my seat. Yeah. It's just a seat assignment.
Okay.
Yeah. And they can change. Like I felt I wasn't going to have a dog or cat or a lovely girlfriend who has 4 kids. Well, guess what? It's my seat assignment. I have. That's what happened. I
Yeah.
wasn't planning it. It's just what happened. And I embrace it wholeheartedly, so to speak. Yeah. So, yeah, that's what I mean by seat assignment.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah.
Paul, we need to wrap it up.
I want to come up with these things, like action figure. It comes from growing up in America. Yeah, you used to buy like Batman, and they'd have auxiliary pieces that were action figures you could buy with the action. You know what I mean? So I feel like a human, the body seems to fit that that role as an action figure. That's what it does. It's
Yeah.
always been acting. Now, are they my actions is the key. I don't see that to be true. So, yeah. All right. Thanks, honey. We got to go, I think.
Yes, it's time to wrap it up.
Yes. All right. So I say goodbye, honey. I got to look at my
Sure,
my
you can say goodbye.
my handler. All right. All right, Connie, nice to see you. You're outside there. Looking good. Yeah. We got Michael S. Michael S. from Madeira. Yes. I've had the great pleasure of meeting Michael, and I've met him many times in the Zoom. Yes. Appreciate him. Carol L. Nice to see you, Carol. Thanks for coming on the SS Starship. Yes.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. We got Eileen. Thank you for your share, honey. Yeah. You're in good hands, honey. Yeah. Yeah. Zoe, always a pleasure, Zoe. Yes. She disappears, but she comes back, sort of like the summer, which I like. Yeah. We got Rhoda. Rhoda is my very pleasant, very nice reminder. She always sends me a message. Do you remember? We have a talk.
My seat assignment is alarm clock.
That's right. Well, even though I know I'm going to go, I like you to get in touch with me anyway. Yeah.
Makes me happy too. Thanks,
I
Paul.
want to keep you on that edge,
Love
Yeah.
it.
All right. Here's the boss of the bosses. There she is. Saina. Did I get it right? Yeah, it's pretty good. Saina does a great job. Without her, this wouldn't be happening, I don't think. So if you got any complaints, bring it to her, really. We got George. Nice to see you, George. We got Inca. Yes. We got Angie. There she is. Nice to see you, Angie. Yes. Where are you, Angie? What country are you in? What state?
I'm close to Toronto.
Oh, yes. You're up in Canada. All right. Nice to see you. Yeah.
Thank
We
you.
got Suzanne. She's horizontal. Now just take a nice rest, Suzanne. Yeah. 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 We put it on the chat. I gave you a couple of phone numbers of my favorite proctologists, divine proctologists. Yeah. There's no numbers. There's no need to call. All right, Angie, nice to see you. Eileen. Yes, there you go. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, here we got David B, Kathy M, Suzanne, Andy W from I think from Melbourne, if I'm correct. Ann B, Susan K. She's always buying me lattes. I appreciate it. Bozima, I think, or Bozina. If I missed it, I can't see the words now, the letters. Stephen O, and some numbers and letters. Looks like one of my passwords. Let me see who else. Yeah, Kathy M, Don O, some other numbers. Hey, listen, I'm so happy to be here with you all. It's a pleasure to see you. Yes. And see you tomorrow. I think tomorrow night we have a non-duality Thursday, Saturday, and we have a retreat coming up in June. Rhoda, yes, we'll
Yes,
talk
we
about it down the road. Yeah.
We're
We'll have a
about
retreat in
to start
Colorado.
advertising. Yeah, come to Colorado. We're going to start advertising.
Good, yeah. Colorado and then Italy in September. Yeah. So for the man who said he never doesn't believe in retreats, there you go. What the hell? We call them treats, not retreats. All right. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. See you later.
Thanks, Paul.